Greetings, friends. It's Colrain or Colrain Tarot here on YouTube. My pronouns are they, them, and I am so grateful and honored to be reading for you, for the collective today. I have taken a bit of a hiatus from my YouTube recently to focus on my own spiritual studies, and one major aspect of that is my practice for my yoga. And a big theme that came up through that practice has been Dharma. And I'd really like to do a reading for you today centered around what is your Dharma. And Dharma is your kind of like your life purpose. That's like almost too generalized as well, though, to fully encapsulate what your Dharma is. So, your Dharma is basically what is right for you in the present moment. And the best example of an true source of understanding Dharma is in the Bhagavad Gita. So if you are interested in learning more about what is Dharma, look to the Bhagavad Gita, or even the Mahabharata in general, because there are many stories of people of many different backgrounds experiencing what their Dharma means for them. So I sincerely hope that this topic resonates with you. If you are interested in learning more about what your spirit guides are asking of you at this time, what is the best path for you right now and what you're meant to be doing, then stick around. These 5 piles in front of me are your options for today. If you are in a meditative state, ready and feeling connected to your reading, I will meet you there, and the timestamps are, as always, in the description below. Greetings, Group 1. If you selected this first card, this first pile, this is your reading. You also have selected the citrine. Hopefully it will focus. Yeah, this beautiful piece. And citrine is all about connecting with your Manipura or Manipuraka chakra, which is also anglicized and known as your solar plexus, resting right between the top of your rib cage. Oh, interesting that this Chalcedony tower just fell when I set that down. So there may be something about going on your own right now, maybe even having to balance selfish or like egoic desires with the desires of your community, of those around you, maybe even family members. Because the citrine is all about our personal willpower. And I was feeling some kind of conflicting energy when tapping into your energy, Group 1. And the first card we have out here for your Dharma is your beloved, radical acceptance. So yeah, this is about accepting your own inner fire. The Manipuraka or Manipura chakra is all about you. It's known as like the sacred jewel, right? So it's our direction, it's our wealth, our value, what we find personally important, worth investing in, how we can shine our own radiance, our unique light into the world. So there's a lot about personal willpower coming forward and how that maybe relates to the love or the passion and compassion we have for those around us. You have the Emperor too, so hearkening again to your sense of personal power, your decisions, your will. We have, I'm going to leave these off for a moment. I will put down your other oracles, and I'll have this one out so you can see it and intuitively absorb the imagery, but we're not going to read it quite yet. And from these two, you actually got 2 cards from this deck when the other groups only got 1. So you may have a lot of like deities or divinities working with you, working in your energy right now. Because you have Kadesh, sexual wisdom. This is an Egyptian goddess, I believe. And you have Star Maiden, rest. So, group one, your Dharma right now, I'm feeling, is to rest and reflect so that you may make really empowered, emboldened decisions that are not from a place of selfishness, but from a place of true calling, true inspiration, and true honoring of your role or your place within a group. So if you're having conflict at work, in your relationships, in your sense of your, maybe developing your career or stepping out and pursuing a project or a passion, it's going to be varied for the many folks in this reading since this is a group reading. If you're feeling that conflict right now, your guides are wanting you to, like the Star Maiden says here, rest. And she even is resting on the lunar crescent, which represents, at least in the yoga pathway, your soma, which is being able to restore oneself, have a sense of integrity within your own energy, honoring your boundaries and your capacity for giving and exchange. So maybe if you've been taking in a lot of advice, a lot of maybe guidance or direction from people who are experienced or have gone through on similar journeys, it may be confusing you right now because there is a deeper calling, a deeper knowing about a decision that you need to make that is not outlined in anyone else's experience. It's not given to you through anyone else's personal opinions on your situation. I really feel like your spirit guides are wanting you to be able to learn to make a decision from your own, even like future self, because I'm seeing this emperor here is in this mature position. And the emperor at its core represents a foundation that we can build upon, that we can return to, that is going to provide for us and nourish ourselves and even generations to come. And so there's something here about the radical acceptance of where you are, what you're being called into, like where your desires are leading you, as well as the wisdom in your creative life force energy. Kadesh here kind of stands out compared to the rest of the reading because she is showing, yes, this fierce strength energy that is really appearing in the emperor, but also mirrored and married to this other side, which is represented more in the Star Maiden rest, that's calling you in for a sense of accountability, a sense of integrity within yourself. This is making me think of while I was on that period of a break from providing service here on YouTube, I spent a good amount of time really connecting with my own inner voice, my own inner integrity, and making decisions from a place of honoring myself and not listening to the kind of like narratives of ego, narratives of power, narratives of structure outside of myself. And I made a decision from a place of inner knowing and connecting with my spirit guides. And the more that I tried to push and force this decision to come about or understand where I'm meant to go, through receiving things from the outside world or chasing outside confirmation or affirmation, I was, met with the affirmations and the guidance of my guides because they would never leave me in my time of need. But I also found that the more that I pushed, the more that I forced to find and understand, the more that I was met with my need for rest, that I was met with my need for pausing, because the decision was a lot simpler than I was making it at the time, is the point of this. And I really feel like your dharma right now is to go within and, even sex is related to our ability to rest. Like we practice sex in a bed, in the place where we go and find ultimate rest. The only way that you can this is getting a little bit more adult, so I hope that you're mature enough for this, but I feel like you really are. You never know with YouTube because it is to the public, but in sex, the only way to experience that bliss, experience the surrender of, climax, is to find deep rest and to find that place of surrender. So, sexual wisdom is showing you that your ability to create comes from pleasure, comes from joy, and comes from an understanding of, sex also requires a lot of responsibility, that we're being responsible for ourselves, for our own well being, and also for the well being of the practices that we're engaging in. What is the undertones of the power play that we're recreating, the conditions of our sexual experience? Are we honoring everyone involved in this experience? Is everyone consenting? Things like this. So there's a lot of kind of exploration of this decision that's involved in sex and pleasure and what you really want and desire, and the integrity of your action. So Kadesh is here to teach you about the sacredness of creation, the sacredness of joy, the sacredness of connection as well, especially since you have beloved. So if you're thinking about making a decision that impacts those you love or impacts your love life in general, it's important for you to accept where you're at, accept the responsibilities that Spirit has placed on you in gifting you with the ability to make this decision, and what that means for your future and the foundation that you're living from. So your Dharma is about creating a foundation based in acceptance. Maybe there's something here where you're having to create a system that works outside of or works from another system based on maybe shame or suppression. And I feel like your guides are saying that it's really important for you to be recognizing that this calling to the beloved within your life, within your Dharma, is for this acceptance, to release and liberate yourself and others from this shame that maybe has been preventing you from rest, preventing you from soaking in the depths of yourself, what your body needs. And I'm noticing that both the Emperor and the Star Maiden have their hands over the pelvic bowl, that place within the body that is more knowing of the physical feeling experience. And so I feel like a lot of this decision is going to be within noticing what your body wants, what your body needs. Let's find your final message, group 1. On this beautiful card, I'll show you the imagery. And it says Soul Star Chakra, merging with the divine. This image captures the merging of time beyond space and kaleidoscopic wisdom that penetrates our being. Interesting. This is going in a lot with what we've been talking about. We have lived in many worlds, all interconnected. They uphold the lessons they carry as messages of transformation. Their synergy creates the expansion of the universe. Gaze into the place where the light between our stardust can become anything. And collective evolution is part of a grander story. When we simply let go, we become all that we have been seeking and glimpse the greater dream. Wow. When we simply let go, we become all that we have been seeking and glimpse the greater dream. That is exactly what I've been talking about this whole reading, about not seeking, not looking outside yourself, about just coming home to yourself. Meditate on the idea that everything that ever was and ever will be is happening simultaneously right now across multiple dimensions. And it's all about just aligning with that. And the soul star chakra is a chakra that is outside of the body, lifted up above the head, and connects us to the heavens, connects us to the Akasha, connects us beyond time and space to the wisdom that is beyond this body, that is also deeply rooted within this timeline, and helps us to discern and find the right decisions that will lead us upon this pathway in the most aligned format for us in this current timeline. So for you, group one, you're stepping into this leadership through rest, through resisting, even like with the Emperor, maybe patriarchal paradigms that have been about control, suppression, and you're leading us towards this sexual wisdom in whatever way this means, through true and genuine connection and receptivity and listening and union. So beautiful and amazing honor to connect with your energy today, group one. If you are interested in a personal reading, or you'd like to reach out to me about how this reading resonated with you today, I would love to hear your reflection in the comments section below, or through any of the other means of connecting with me through my website linked in the description below. I love you. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will see you in another video, my friend. Greetings, group two. If you selected this second pile as well as the lapis lazuli, this is your Dharma right now. So if you skipped my intro, that is a-okay. I respect your time and your energy, but I'm going to repeat just a little bit of what your Dharma is so that we know where the other one's coming from, and you can understand, my perspective. So Dharma is kind of like your life purpose, but that's maybe too simplistic. So when we're translating Sanskrit terms, it's really important to know that the language itself is a vibrational language, so the actual word itself carries the meaning within it. But for the means of a translation here, Dharma is, like I said, like your life purpose. It's also like your individual, unique path and karma in this life. And it's going to be highly unique to each person, not really based on morals, but more of what is the most benefit for you at the time. My cat is really chatty right now, and I'm not quite sure if it's just because I felt like the energies of both group one and two were very similar, but she was chatting it up all through group one as well. So you may need to attend to certain things right now. Like a lot of attention is being drawn from you to tend to those around you. And to keep your affairs in order is kind of what I'm hearing from your guides. So group two, what is your Dharma? What is group two's Dharma right now? I'm going to leave this one here and we're going to read it together at the end. So, the lapis lazuli has a lot of other minerals in it. I believe it has its own pigment with that deep cobalt blue, but it also has a lot of pyrite in it, I know. So it may be that you're trying to re-center your awareness of wealth, your finances. Again, there's something about like something getting your attention to get your affairs in order. For some of you, it may be about, I'm hearing like end of life affairs, maybe even for some of you, it's like past regrets that you have, or like, let's say you did have an affair. It's like this energy that you've put out that you're needing to like make amends for, or even come to an understanding and an acceptance within yourself about what you might have to pay for because of this. For some of you, it was a run-in with the law, or ways that you may have failed to meet the needs or expectations of those around you. in your relationships in the past. It feels like there's a lot of heaviness connected to you, group 2. And it's interesting as well that you chose the lapis lazuli and you have Thoth coming out here. And he's wearing this deep cobalt blue within his eye sockets. And I do associate Thoth with this deep, mystical, blue indigo color, normally anyway. And you even have that coming out a lot in this intuitive card as well as these wings and the serpent. So you may have a connection to Quetzalcoatl. I'm feeling a lot of past life energy too for you, group 2. So if you haven't already done some type of past life regression or had a memory emerge of your past lives, even getting a reading on your past lives, I'll be able to cover a little bit of it today, but not too many specifics because you have a lot of past lives coming forward with this Dharma. I feel like there are ways that your past lives are informing this current life. Maybe you're going through a Saturn return of some kind, or even a Jupiter return. Or maybe Saturn is transiting over your, I'm seeing your sun or your north node. Yeah, something like that. Or you may have a big emphasis on 12th house transits. Maybe even, yeah, I'm not getting much else, sorry. But yeah, maybe if you know a lot about astrology, there's that kind of influence in your life right now. So you have Dream Thief, Refusal of the Call, with this kind of spooky owl that also almost has like a monkey face, which is interesting. And again, as I'm talking about this card, my cat is coming out and calling. And so again, it's like these things, I'm feeling like something's trying to get your attention, which is so interesting. And it's the number 13. So again, hearkening to that death energy, this energy of beyond this lifetime. I feel like there is a responsibility that some of you have been shirking. I don't know what this is because it's so different for each of you, but I do feel like it's a spiritual responsibility to, in some ways, mature on a soul level or evolve your soul. So it may be that some of you are feeling called to release a certain energy, release a certain cycle. For others of you, it's a codependency cycle. For some of you, it's a lying thing, like withholding truth. It's something that's been really eating away at your soul. And with the Queen of Coins here and this snake that is winding around, I'm being drawn back to my mention of Quetzalcoatl. Sorry, and you're activating my throat chakra here, which is definitely connected to the lapis lazuli, truth and communication and sharing through information. But Quetzalcoatl, he is I'm wanting to say Aztec, but I know that he's like honored more through many different indigenous populations throughout what is now known as South America. Actually, I don't know. He may be Mayan too, so I'm gonna leave that one open. Sorry about that. But basically, he represents rebirth. Thoth, also working within the Egyptian tradition of the underworld, uncovering knowledge, bringing things from the hidden or the death realm into conscious awareness, bringing things into discipline and further study, even being responsible for shepherding this wisdom, bringing it forward, nurturing it, guiding it. With the ibis here too, there's the winged aspect of the resurrection. It feels like there's a part of you that needs to resurrect. And it almost feels like maybe there's an aspect of the soul lifetime where your dharma has been to be in this veil of forgetfulness for a long time, to be kind of absorbed in maybe the materialism. into the, like, getting lost in the experience of being in the human form with the Queen of Coins. The serpent also represents an awakening within the body, a remembrance of our deep wisdom, our ancient wisdom, truth, and understanding of the material realm, the limits and the contracts that we're signing on for within this human body, the limits of our human body. So for some of you, this affair, like accounting for your affairs, not only is about literal death, but it's about your physical form, your physical body, and the limitations that your physical body has, and being able to accept and understand the call of being in this human lifetime. For these past lives, I'm seeing that a lot of you had agreements around vows that you took, whether they be in relationships like marriages. They can also be vows of like priest-like vows or priestess vows that you took to certain divinities, to certain deities, to carry through knowledge, to be a wisdom keeper, to express and live your life through a certain way. So if you're feeling like your body is physically rejecting certain materials, certain scents, certain practices, even, it feels like there's a lot of different things. Maybe even like lifestyles. It feels like, for some of you, it's like your nervous system is activating anytime you're around certain people, you're in certain environments. Listen to these things, because these are soul level contracts and calls that you've been agreeing to. And it feels like this wisdom is reawakening within you to help you to embrace the divine masculine. We have like kind of this emergence of these two awarenesses, one through the body, through the feeling, through the remembrance on the material, and the other through interpreting material, like Thoth represents, making sense, making meaning, mapping out the material, and being able to express it and guide it into the proper manifestation by accepting this. And I feel like for your group, I really need to read what it says. So in the Shaman's Dream Oracle, the Dream Thief says, rejection of the path of fulfillment, refusal of the call. The dream thief is a soft and compelling seductress. Her only purpose is to keep you hypnotized by comfort and sameness. She wants you to tell your old stories over and over so you don't evolve beyond them. Yes, and that can be this Queen of Coins, the illusion of the serpent as well, because it coils, it keeps us on this kind of like circular path back through. And I feel like you've been repeating something lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And when you find this reading, this is going to be your invitation and your liberation to connect with yourself beyond this lifetime, to be able to evolve beyond these stories that I feel like have been microcosmically repeating within this lifetime, pulling you back into the illusion, almost like the illusion of Maya, the material world. If you haven't heard of that term yet, maybe look into it. I feel like you'll find some resonance with it. So anyway, ask yourself whether you are reverting back to the familiarity of your origin story of why you were wounded or when you were rejected. Do you talk about how your family molded you as a child without also acknowledging that you've already become someone else? Teaching from an old wound will never allow you a new adventure. Instead, bring to mind how you've already changed, remembering that you have new stories to rely and build upon. Do you want to move beyond the barrier of glass you've placed between you and the horizon? You can, and it's not difficult. Answer the call to a new adventure and drop your resistance to sailing the uncharted seas of your potential. The wind will soothe and sing the dream thief to sleep, so you can wake up and move forward. You are so much more than you know. Now it's time to express what has lain dormant. Your new adventure has already begun. Yes, beautiful. And I feel like this this guidance of Thoth and the Queen of Coins, these are maybe even past life versions of yourself in some way, studying and learning the land, connecting to these. I always see serpents too as like guardians of the earth, understanders, kind of like how the salamanders follow the magnetic pulses of the earth, like feeling into the material and knowing where you belong and where you don't belong. And it really feels like you're activating these soul gifts and not refusing. I feel like some of you have been really pushing away your psychic abilities, your inner knowing, these callings of your soul out of fear of your nature, fear of what these agreements with these higher beings might mean, the freedom that you may perceive that you're giving up through giving up these human comforts. But I'm really here to assure you that giving in to the Dharma that your soul is calling forward for you will actually help you to feel much more in alignment with your integrity, with your spirit, with your sense of belonging and acknowledgement of where you're meant to be in this life. And it will help you to not continue to create these patterns of suffering. I have one last anecdote before I read this. I know this reading is running a little bit longer than I want it to, but I'm really feeling like your guides need me here for you, group 2, because you've been struggling. And recently I had an experience where I was talking to a friend, and I have been aware of this past life draw to this friend. And I don't think this friend is aware of this, but that's okay. Because for me, I needed to acknowledge it personally. And there was a hearkening to a dynamic that this friend is unconscious of, that I was more conscious of. And I was feeling my soul feeding into this, and I needed to break this past life cycle for the benefit of my friend's soul. It's like I agreed to this in this lifetime. And I was hanging out with this friend and talking about all this weird stuff that like this friend was triggering in my memory about earlier times in my life. And when I was sharing this, I at the time like didn't realize that I had been carrying all of this stuff and repeating all of these narratives and holding on to these even within my body and mapping out the meaning of these things and intellectualizing all this stuff. And I didn't fully acknowledge that I had been holding on to this so desperately, and it was so strange. And this friend like really allowed me to recognize how this was taking up space in my life. And it feels like there may be some of this like coming up for you in different formats where you're acting out these things or telling these stories that are not really serving you anymore, but they're serving maybe some ego narrative in your life. And I think it's time to release these. And I've seen this in other folks as well, like repeating these stories of these hurts, these pains that serve them on some level, but are not allowing for their soul to grow. And so this is your dharma right now, is to begin to change these narratives by going through these past lives and understanding the deeper, longer term soul karmas that are related to us on a collective level. When we dissolve that sense of individual self, they're being played out through many different life forms and many different lifetimes. So your final card here from the Beyond Lemuria Oracle says radical expansion. What a beautiful synchronicity. Thank you, spirit guides. It says it is time for radical ways of being and thinking. So you can start by granting yourself the freedom and creativity to be you. And side note, I will say radical. There is a quote by Angela Davis, beautiful, beautiful thinker. If you haven't experienced her before, please go look into her work, Angela Davis. She says radical simply means from the root. And so this is talking about root work, like the Queen of Coins indicates as well. Root work, being able to liberate oneself from these cycles of harm. Unleash your inner rainbow dragon and unapologetically claim your heart-based empowerment and radiantly unconventional gifts. Yes, you can be as big as your energy wants to be. Let go of limiting stories and take up all the space you need. Wow, let go of limiting stories and take up all the space you need. Have fun unleashing who you are. As bold and radical as your ideas or offerings might be, they could be just what the world is waiting for, what the world wants. Be the masterpiece your soul always wanted you to be. I'm going to leave that there for you, group 2. Thank you so very much for being here, for allowing me the honor of a reading for you. I want to thank every energy in the universe that brought us together for this reading today, and I will see you in another video, my friend. Bye. Greetings, group 3. If you selected this third group, this is your reading with the pre-night with Epidote. So the pre-night with Epidote is a beautiful heart healer, and in this cubic form as well, I feel like it emphasizes the foundation of emotional resilience, emotional healing, heart-centered living that we can ground and anchor into, as well as creating new foundations and structures for ourselves, surrounded and rooted in that heart space, in the seat of our soul. So there's definitely a soulful wisdom about what your guides want to bring you surrounding your Dharma, helping you to understand your Dharma right now. So Dharma can change depending on what our life circumstances are, what our ego is, the choices that we're making as human beings, the circumstances of our maybe like government, our nation, where we're living. It can all really influence our Dharma at different times. So I want you to know that your Dharma is flexible. Whatever comes out in this reading today is, of course, a collective message and is meant to fluctuate and change over time. So I'd like you to keep that in mind, please. So if you skip the intro, that's okay. But along with that definition of Dharma, I also want to offer that Dharma is part of the Sanskrit language. And as a vibrational language, the sound of Dharma gives you an indication of the meaning. And while we can translate it, it's going to be best expressed through its vibrational resonance. Dharma can represent something like your life purpose, the meaning of your life, the mixture of will and fate, and how we're shaping that experience through our spiritual effect on the world is essentially what it is. And Dharma is very much connected to our karma. So keep that in mind. And if you'd like to learn more, you can always look into, what Dharma means, but keep in mind that there are many resources on it, and not all of them are coming from the Sanskrit tradition. Okay, so group 3. You have here Dragon's Hoard, Protecting the Future, number 12. And the keys are really standing out to me on this card. So, this is a big Dharma. Maybe that's why I had to talk to you a little bit more in depth than the other groups about what it means. You have the Queen of Swords. Ooh, and the first thing I'm noticing on this card is actually not this fierce warrior, even though she is quite gorgeous. But there's a lot of heads on stakes behind her. So this Queen of Swords is kicking you-know-what and taking names. And Imhotep, Visionary, came out for you from the Goddesses, Gods, and Guardians Oracle. I'm seeing these symbols appearing behind. It's like the background is really standing out to me. These like little symbols. I feel like your spirit guides have been trying to communicate to you about your Dharma through symbolism, through synchronicity. Because I'm seeing the sun and the Ankh and these like interlocking circles and this like sun symbol that has like rays shining out from the bottom. And we're going to start here with Imhotep, actually, because Imhotep is was an ancient Egyptian priest who was elevated from priest, from human, into more of a divine status through his scholarship, through his dedication to the Neteru of ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt. And he I don't know too much on him, so I won't speak like I'm a total expert on him, but I do know a bit of his story because he does represent kind of this papal high priest figure. And even calling him like a papal figure, I just felt like Imhotep himself kind of come forward and be like, I wouldn't project Christianity onto me, because the priest functioned in a very different capacity at that time, is what he's showing me. So he's showing me the priest being more of a thinker of the people, the one who relays information. And I do believe Imhotep worked very closely with Thoth. And I'm feeling really called right now to actually get the guidebook and read his story because he is a visionary. So he was bringing a new definition of what it meant to embody the divine into the collective consciousness. And I think the people who were watching him serve under his lifetime really felt the presence of their own divinity emerging through the service that he provided. And I do believe that while Egypt or Kemet was maybe a flawed empire in the way that they practiced, I do think that Imhotep is one of those of the elite class that would have stood out at the time because he was representing something that was not just of the elite. And I do believe here that he has the Eye of Thoth, because I think that the left side would be the Eye of Thoth. If it would be on the right side, it would be the Eye of Ra. So let's see. Let me go grab that. Okay, so here in the guidebook it says, Imhotep, visionary, designing the future, fusing ancient wisdom with modern methods. Yes. So Imhotep started life as a commoner. That's why there's something about like connecting to the people, rising through the ranks. I feel like this is happening for you in your life. You're like rising up to a higher place of status, but still remaining connected to your integrity. Again, with this protecting the future and visionary, they're both talking about forward vision, forward focus, but also remaining connected and rooted to the Queen of Swords. I always see as somebody who is like rooted in their pain body, but not maybe defined by it necessarily. They're like transmuting pain and also understanding the power of the mind, the power of the spoken word, the power of definition to change and transform a situation. So let's see what else this says. Okay, so he started life as a commoner, but through his visionary genius became enormously influential in Egypt during the Third Dynasty. He was a high priest of Heliopolis, which would be the Temple of Ra. Vizier, an advisor to the kings, and chief architect of King Djoser's step pyramid, which paved the way for the Great Pyramids. Beautiful. Known as the first physician, Imhotep was practicing medicine over 2,000 years before Hippocrates was born. So again, creating a system that establishes something else for others through thought, through even like conquering death too. Okay. And the dragon represents to me like ancient knowledge, ancient connection to the land. ancient mysteries. So I feel like there's something here about bridging the past and the future in your Dharma right now. His legacy was so profound that after his death, he was elevated to a god of medicine and architecture. Without Imhotep, modern medicine might not be where it is today. Beautiful. So when Imhotep appears, it is a clear indication of your visionary gifts. Your soul's intention is to create pioneering change through implementing divinely inspired ideas. So again, recognizing the divine within, not feeling limited by the human life. There's no doubt that you've come to Earth to redesign infrastructures, stir up the pot of established protocols, and use innovative and progressive methods to evolve humanity. You're a visionary, guided by the divine, to implement projects that can help, heal, and inspire our world. What do you want to improve or innovate? Maybe you're a teacher who's frustrated by the education system, or a medical professional who'd love to combine modern medicine with holistic treatments. Perhaps your passion lies in environmentalism, politics, science, or fighting prejudice and injustice. And that's definitely what I'm feeling here with this Queen of Swords. Fighting through philosophical ideas, even I'm feeling almost like the energy of like Malcolm X coming forward, where he was fighting philosophical. I'm not a philosopher, and I'm not a debatist, so I don't know like the exact term for these arguments, but like poking holes in those arguments that are like they have a contradiction within them. I just was watching a video on Malcolm X's like fighting capacity, where he would fight an argument that was unsound, like logistically, by taking an assumption of that argument and then like asking, well, if this and this, why not this? And arguing his own like much more well-backed and researched perspective to kind of poke holes in these other arguments. And I feel like that's what this Queen of Swords is, like imagining and envisioning a future, because the other aspect of Malcolm X is that he didn't just fight what existed, he also presented alternative routes and methods of being that were rooted in liberation, rooted in philosophical justice. And the Queen of Swords definitely feels like justice because within this swords suit, it is about our connections, our networks, and our social systems and communities, just as much as it is about how we're communicating and relaying something from conscious awareness into communicated idea and form. And again, that activation of the throw, it feels like some of you, the fear has been taking over, or that doubt and like almost like self-pity for some of you, where it feels like, but who am I to make a change? Like, what can I really do? I feel like for some of you, I'm so sorry. For some of you, you're sorry, I needed to take a little tea break because that throat was really getting activated there. For some of you, if you're in like an education system, you're being called to go from being a teacher to being like a board member, taking up a different position within your within the network, rising into a leadership position, like how Imhotep was moved within that system that he was in into a higher status, a higher rank. Even the dragon's horde protecting the future, the dragon is the most elevated form of like the reptile. So yeah, sorry, I'm getting so distracted, but it just feels like your energy, there's so much potential, and your dharma right now is to face that pain, face that fear, in order to become more like a key holder. Okay, so your soul's intention to create pioneering change. Let's see, where were you? Or where were we reading? Yeah, you're a visionary guided by the divine to implement projects that can help, heal, and inspire our world. What do you want to improve or innovate? Maybe you're a teacher. Okay, sorry, we were talking about this. Okay, perhaps your passion lies in environmentalism. Okay. If you're passionate about what needs to evolve, then you're the one who can make a difference. Imhotep is guiding you step by step. Take it one day at a time and break the big vision down into manageable chunks. You can be a trailblazer who fuses ancient wisdom and cutting edge technique. This is your time to change the world. Additional meanings: you're an indigo soul, a passionate person with a divine mandate to tear down the old and build the new. Life is bringing the perfect lessons and challenges needed to fire up your sacred purpose. So again, more about your Dharma. A career path in medicine or architecture is opening up for you. Be bold and confident about sharing your ideas. Invocation: my mind is in touch with divine ideas. My visions create a better world. And I will say that with the energy that I experienced through your pile, it would be really beneficial for you to take some time to ground your energy in stillness. Even just like listening to others, I feel like there's something about like taking in information but not having to contribute right away, because there's something about that's going to help you with the confusion of like what you're really meant to give. Yeah, and the dragon sword too. I just feel like this is like saving up your ideas, keeping things kind of incubated so that you can be strategic about when you bring these ideas, these projects, and these visions that you're having forward. And for some of you, this can be like literal psychic work too, with that visionary, like the like clairvoyance. So I'm going to show you these two cards so that you can see the imagery. There's a lot of blue here. And an emphasis on the heart again. The dolphins too, so meeting up with other souls. Using your intelligence and your creativity. Connecting into other realms. Okay. So you have water, the overflow, and alignment. So the being in the... I'm going to start with water. This one. The being in the picture has many hands, and yet water falls through her fingers. It blesses her in the moments it touches her radiant skin and continues on its journey. Her heart is also overflowing with love. Her eyes are filled with tears. She gracefully allows what comes through to move her without control. Aligned with purpose, she is overjoyed to give from this limitless place, and she radiates so much light into the world. Give more from a place of overflow than obligation. When we think we have nothing to give, coming from a mindset of overflow creates more of what we want. And that's what I was feeling with that self-limitation, that doubt of oneself. And I feel like that's why there was this message about listening, about grounding. Even water may be a grounding tool for you to also help you to cleanse, because I feel like a lot of you are taking in the pain and the suffering of our collective right now and wanting to, be motivated by it, but also at the same time feeling overwhelmed and feeling somewhat powerless to these experiences of control and obligation and responsibility that we're being called into as a collective right now. But your guides are here to say that you do have the vision and you do have a role and dharma to fulfill within this, even if it is just doing what you're already doing, like it is doing enough. So this one right here, I'm noticing the dragonfly too, kind of at this like heart to solar plexus space. So this is about activating your personal will and your sense of love and like the truth of love within your life. So this says alignment. You can manifest the life you wish to call in. Look at where your desires are being seated. If your plans or dreams aren't unfolding as you would like, take a closer look at the other areas in your life. Is something out of step with integrity? Are you making decisions through fear or love? This is totally what I've been talking about. It is through fear or avoidance your manifestations may seem to backfire. To encourage you back into balance, become a vibrational match for what you desire. Instead of striving harder, cultivate the feeling of already having all you seek. You will be surprised at what this shift in perspective creates. And I'm feeling like that shift in perspective is also going to create this transformation of pain, helping you to envision the future a little bit better and access your gift of imagination a little more. So thank you so very much, Group 3, for allowing me to read for you today. I'm so grateful and honored to have been in your energy field and to have been able to connect with you today and serve you today. I'm so grateful for your spirit guides, my spirit guides, and all the other energies in this universe that brought us together for this reading. If you are interested in any of my other work, I have it linked down below. Otherwise, I will see you in another reading, my friend. Bye. Greetings, Group 4. If you selected this 4th pile with the amethyst heart, this is your reading. So we are going to explore what your Dharma is. So if you skipped the intro, that is okay. I respect your time and energy. But Dharma, I want to give you a little bit of insight. Dharma is a Sanskrit term that, because Sanskrit is a vibrational language, represents the life purpose in a very simplistic term, or simplistic translation of the term. I will say too that Dharma is, because it is a vibrational language, it carries the meaning or the resonance within the actual word itself. So any translation is going to water down its meaning. But yes, it is more than just your life purpose. It's also a changing relationship that we have to karma. So if you'd like to learn more, you can always look into it, but we're going to get into your reading. So with the amethyst heart, I'm feeling like this group, you are focused on a spiritual path, on honoring your spiritual journey, as well as kind of releasing yourself of old karmic cycles, old energy that you're carrying, even like conflict that has been arising within your spiritual body. Oh, let's flip this over. Okay. It's so interesting because since your pile started, I've had to like pause the reading a couple different times to remove distractions, or just like minimize them. I couldn't really remove them, you know. But yeah, like it feels like there's a lot competing for your awareness right now within your soul, within your spirit. And there's also a need to take time to really discern what you are feeling versus kind of like what is being thrown at you, if that makes sense. So let's see a little more, because the amethyst too is a really good protection stone. So it feels like there's like maybe more intrusive things that could potentially be coming from your mental or emotional health, as well as maybe even physical health or other responsibilities. And as well, for some of you, I'm feeling the energy of like addiction type behavior where you're like addicted to like input of stimulus. Yeah, like kind of like externalizing your energy. Like it's been really hard for you to maybe meditate or connect within, or if you have been meditating, you've maybe been doing it to avoid being present in your reality. Okay, and as I'm saying that, I'm looking at what is being held in the Two of Wands here. And there's a key being held on one side and a staff or a wand on the other side. So on one side there is stability, willpower, structure, maybe even grit and determination that's required of this enacting of the will. On the other side, there's an open opportunity or an open door. It feels like right now your Dharma is to unify yourself. Do you see how they have one body, one set of legs, but two heads, two minds that are looking in two different directions? I'm really curious what the myth is for this. So one moment. Okay, so this is Janus from Italy, Roman mythology. The Two of Wands represents travel and commerce. Janus, the god of doorways and transition, okay, is able to look to the past and the future in order to make effective decisions. He is always in motion, connecting dreams with actual possibilities. So it's interesting because the other groups have also been about making decisions for the future, but I feel like in your group, this is more about spiritual decisions. What practices can you commit to that you will see long term results within? I'm feeling a very Saturnian energy for your group as well. So it may be that you need to work with Saturn or even the goddess Hecate, because she is connected to Roman and Greek mythology. And also, I see her being reflected here in the energy of Rhiannon. So Rhiannon here says inner strength. There's something about calling on your spiritual reserves and the energy of like spiritual strength to get you through a difficult time. The full moon is also coming up, so there's something that's being illuminated within the subconscious. And in here in this depiction in the Moon Maiden card, it says there's new beginnings. So Rhiannon, her story is all about finding a new beginning after a betrayal, after being falsely accused of something, being punished for this experience, ostracized, and also cast out because of this perceived betrayal or perceived injustice that she is accused of committing. And Rhiannon, for me personally, appeared at a time where I was very unfamiliar with goddess work, with connecting with deities in general, but she appeared, the goddess of horses, to show me my own ability for endurance, my ability to understand these subconscious patterns that were limiting me at the time, the ways that I was making decisions from a place of subconscious programming, generational karma, generational limitation. And so it's really important here that at this time you are able to go within and contact the part of you that is between two worlds. And that's really why I'm feeling the energy of Hecate as well. She came to me at a different time when I was much more ready to do this deeper goddess work, this deep soul shadow work and transformation. And that also is connected to the moon that goes through these cycles and slowly works into this shadow work. So if you're not quite ready to work with the lady at the crossroads, that is totally okay. That is, the lady at the crossroads is Hecate. I definitely feel like Rhiannon is a great step into that journey of shadow work and that journey of subconscious reprogramming and contacting your power that may have been taken through something like the witch wound, which causes us to doubt our instincts, doubt our power, even bow to patriarchal rule, give in to patriarchal definitions of our identities, no matter how you identify. Patriarchy does seek to oppress, suppress, and control our expression of self, no matter what your gender or your sex is. Taking a little sip of my tea there. And yeah, I'm just feeling like Rhiannon is really here to help you call on that inner strength. Even maybe that song by Fleetwood Mac called Rhiannon. I feel like that might be nourishing to your soul right now to help you to make these spiritual decisions, for you to open up new karmic pathways through embracing your Dharma. I feel like you're at a crossroad within your spiritual journey to choose to align to your Dharma or to continue to postpone finding this inevitable dharmic path that your soul is calling in. And it's perfectly okay if you're not ready to do the shadow work yet, but it is going to come back up at another time. So you're able to like the Moon Maiden, connect to these new beginnings, to go on this journey of soul retrieval is what I'm feeling. If you're curious about soul retrieval, there's a lot of information. I even have a Reiki session for soul retrieval, and that was actually around a time when I began to connect with Rhiannon. So I'm feeling like her guidance is coming up here to point you in that direction, because her energy is within that video if you'd like to go and connect with that. Otherwise, there's plenty of other resources for you out there. So you also have the Will of the Wisp, treasures hidden in the shadows. Yes. So even Rhiannon has the energy, or the hair that carries that same energy like Merida from Brave. And while I don't normally promote Disney, I do feel like that movie is very influential in restoring and honoring a lot of these Gaelic and even Norse adjacent type of ancestral knowledge, because Rhiannon does come from that Norse lineage. But I do feel the Will of the Wisp are your ancestors trying to help you to liberate your generational pattern from your family line, by looking for those treasures hidden in the shadows, by embracing the fact that your life is temporary, and that there are shadow aspects of the self. There are things that we've suppressed, that we've hidden throughout time, that our family line has been forced to suppress within our relationships, within our self identity. I feel like there's a lot of identity suppression that is really important for you to bring to the surface. So for some of you, these are going to be emotions that are viewed as like negative emotions, like anger, passions, even like things that are related to pleasure, like that might be something like stimming, hyperfixations, like these things that are kind of connected to neurodivergence. For some of you, this is going to be more about sexuality, again, with that pleasure. And for others of you, it's just going to be like even career pathways as well, like ways of, like valid ways of contributing to society, standing out from the crowd. There's a lot of different things here. So anything that has to do, the moon, anything that has to do with our subconscious, our fears, our things that we've like hidden away, things that are taboo, those are under the realm of the moon. And so I feel like that's why Rhiannon's coming through with that full moon, to show you that in your inner strength hides these things that are in the shadows, that are kept just below the conscious levels, below the surface. And so I definitely feel like for a lot of you, taking that journey like Merida does, she follows her instincts, she follows these mysteries. And even though she's told these are dangerous, avoid these things, don't go any further, her desire to uncover the family karma even that she has by following her own dharma, even against the better counsel and the wisdom of those older than her, actually liberates them through these trials and through her own inner strength and her resolve to make things right. So definitely this is like that energy I'm feeling so much from this reading. And you may have ancestral lineages that are related to the Gaelic, to Scotland, to Ireland, to even some of the Norse countries like Norway, Finland. It's on the tip of my tongue. I keep wanting to call it Danish, but I know that it's there's another name. The Dutch country. I don't know. If you have those ancestral lineages, you'll know a little bit more. Maybe you can do some more research. But yeah, there's a lot of treasures hidden in the shadows within your own subconscious, within your own psyche. A lot of things that are going to help liberate you and help you to know where your next step, where your next practices are meant for you in your spiritual practice. Because I feel like that's that's the result of doing the shadow work, is that these spiritual practices for healing are going to emerge and help to take you on this journey. And I definitely feel like deities, goddesses, even in Brave, she's guided by this crone, who's like a witch archetype, and Hecate is the queen of the witches, queen of the underworld. So I'm definitely getting that sense of like this crone deity, that, or like a wise woman kind of deity, that would really be beneficial for you to work with at this time. So let's get your final message from this oracle card, Beyond Lemuria Oracle. And if you notice on that intuitive imagery, there's an eye emerging from this mandala. So it's definitely about your sight, your vision. So it says awakened awareness. There are many levels of awakening. Keep learning and putting yourself into situations where you can grow. Stay aligned with your inner guidance and do what you love to keep your vibe high. Seek not instant pleasure, but substantial and sustainable joy. Eat healthily, keep your body active, and have life goals, but with enough space to hear the answers to your prayers. Find your unique way to connect to the divine inside you, not as an external seeking, but as a receptive allowing. Be inspired to see the question at hand with a different perspective. Look between the lines for a deeper interpretation. And yes, Hecate is also that aspect within yourself of remothering, of connecting to the wounded feminine and liberating that within our modern world, claiming that power and the intuitive awareness, that awakened awareness that is within the body, that is beyond like permission or power that's bestowed from outside you. And I feel like that's why there's two, Janus came forward too, to help you to be able to make those decisions from an awakened awareness within. Beautiful, beautiful message for you, Group 4. Thank you so very much for being here. It's such an honor to read for you. I want to thank your guides. I want to thank every divinity that showed up for you today as well. I want to thank you for being here, and every other energy that came forward to assist us in this beautiful reading today. If you are interested in my other work, I have that linked in the description box below. Otherwise, I will see you in another reading, my friend. Bye. Last but not least, beautiful Group 5. Thank you so very much for being here. It is an honor to read for you today. And let's get into it. So we were looking at your Dharma. And your Dharma is it's a Sanskrit term. Sanskrit is a vibrational language, so this means that the actual word itself, the energy, the resonance of it, is going to carry the meaning. And so Dharma, loosely translated, can be like your life purpose, but it's also a changing, present source of karma in our life, and allows us to understand the nature of our actions, our desires, and also our place within the collective, within the cosmos. And you selected this beautiful fossil. I've looked into the name of this fossil a couple different times, but for some reason the name of it does not stick. So if you happen to know what this fossil is, I would love for you to comment down below. But I do know that it's an oceanic fossil, and these are very old beings that would have lived on the ocean floor and now come to us in these kind of granite-like diorite type forms to help us to ground, to remember the wisdom of the earth, and to restore our sense of truth, our sense of justice, our sense of connection to each other and the world at large. So let's see what cards came out for you. Ooh. Okay, interesting. I'm definitely getting an ancient energy. Wow, look at that synchronicity. Okay. I'm definitely getting a sense of ancient energy from this group, especially since you chose one of the oldest minerals that I had. All matter on Earth is, in essence, coming from that origin, from the stars, from the beginning of our Earth. But some of these materials have come in at later times from the cosmos, developing and emerging through different chemical processes. But this is feeling like a very old energy that's within your soul. And you have some powerful cards that came out for you today, group 5. So your Dharma right now is talking about a restoration of ancient wisdom, reminding our collective, from dust you come and to dust you will return. There's something about your soul that wants to express these teachings and wants to connect with the value and the wisdom of your material existence and the simplicity and spiritual teaching that is within and coded in your DNA. And it feels like there is a magic of your vessel. And a lot of you have really spent a lot of time cultivating and crafting your vessel as this tool of spiritual guidance, this tool of the divine, with the hermit coming forward. It feels like a lot of you, your Dharma right now is to go within and find the symbolic truth that lives within your being, and to not be swayed by stereotypes, archetypes, feeling like you have to conform to a method of being spiritual or behaving spiritually. It feels like there's a lot of dogma that is being broken down. And your spirit guides are saying, if you haven't been receiving a lot of opportunities or chances to go out and express your knowledge, it's because you need this time of breaking down the dogma that you've taken on as a spiritual seeker, so that you can step outside of dogmatic teaching. Personally, my spirit guides have been coming to me a lot and telling me that this is the age of releasing dogma, of integrating and preserving ancient traditions and teachings, but moving outside of this strict, harsh practice that is very dogmatic and very like our way is the only right way, kind of opening things up to be able to compare and contrast and practice within many different teachings, preserving the integrity, though, still, of those teachings as individual practices, as lineages as well. And finding that balance between those two without, having to be like these many more orthodox or evangelical even traditions that are very almost preachy, like you either conform or you don't know anything type of energy. And that's where we're getting the energy of this hollow bone teachability. This is like your spirit guides saying that they want you to be in this teachable energy. The white stag is such a symbol for you right now of grace, humility, and receptivity, and also surrender and I want to say sacrifice, but I want to be careful with that message because I feel like a lot of you are overcoming self-sacrifice and moving out of the dogma of self-sacrifice, because that is a very prominent paradigm at the current moment. But they're wanting to move you into the white stag energy to follow in the energy of service. The stag is like the highest member of the food chain of service through being a prey species. like, the antelope, it depends on where you're looking, but the stag represents that kind of heightened energy of being able to give to the predator. I want to call them like a class, but like subspecies group within nature. And the stag has so much symbolism through so many different cultures. So if you have a personal relationship to your ancestors and you want to check what their relationship to the stag might be, or the white stag specifically, please go and look into that. But I'm feeling here that there's a connection even to like the Ojibwe, Anishinaabe. I know that there's like a few other tribes from what's now known as like the northern part of North America, and especially through the plains as well, that were focused on this idea of the spirit of the deer woman or the deer person, the deer man who comes and responds to injustice actually and protects the innocents. So there is this aspect of being hunted as well that's being involved, and you stepping up to the plate, being teachable by your spirit guides who want to help bring in this spirit of warrior. We don't often think of the hermit as a warrior spirit or as a warrior archetype, but I personally have been revealed through my spiritual journey that the hermit can be such a warrior, a spiritual warrior though, someone who is fighting through unconventional means and through unseen battles. So this can be a time where we're facing a lot of challenge through the method of what some might think of as the old ways, the old gods, and really rising into a spiritual fortitude that allows you to enter into more crowded spaces, into more spiritually inundated spaces with a light, with a kind of untouchable energy that is going to channel and transmute energy with a spiritual authority as well. And with the Feast of Plenty coming out as well, choices and their consequences, I feel like you are seeing choices and their consequences playing out, as we all are, on like a more collective level, but you're also seeing the opportunity from some of these ill-fated choices that people in power especially are making, or people who have the illusion of power, because you're rising into more of a genuine power. You're seeing how there are doors and opportunities opening for this transformation of the collective, and so you're rising into this like genuine servant position, like the stag shows, this wisdom and this ability to surrender yourself to this journey and bringing in an abundance, like redistributing abundance in your life. For those of you that aren't necessarily interested in being in a spiritual leadership position, I also am seeing that this is talking about kind of balancing the scales of injustice within your own family line, being able to resurrect or revive certain practices and traditions without the dogma that was maybe associated with those who were involved in preserving the tradition. It's like stepping away from the dogma that was used as a preservation tool, to be able to make these teachings more accessible, making choices and anticipating or having foresight for what the consequences are going to be, because the hermit is working with time, with the energy of karma again. So your dharma right now is to, like Amaterasu, who's coming out of the cave, is showing that it's time for no more hiding, because the hermit goes within, they hide away, they kind of keep their powers to themselves, they search for their own truth, their own meaning, their own belief, so that at one point later they're able to reemerge as the wise one, as the one that others look to for guidance. And so Amaterasu is inviting you to no longer hide based on those injustices or the fears of being persecuted, the fears of expressing or people taking, even appropriating. Because for some of you, I feel like you're working in lineages and traditions that have been persecuted, that have been appropriated, that have been stolen, that have been even mocked or stereotyped or diminished or watered down. But it's like the earth is craving this medicine. Your communities are craving this medicine because it's almost to like hiding to the detriment of your own people being able to make the decisions with this knowledge, because it's been so hidden. And so it's like moving away from the dogma of preservation within yourself. Even for some of you, if this isn't about, again, like spiritual teaching, this is about the preservation of your own wisdom, your own story. So for some of you, you're being called to make the choice to, like the Feast of Plenty is saying, like, be teachable or teach others using your life story, like writing a memoir, writing down your methods, something that is coming from maybe like a family member, writing down somebody else's. For some of you, this is going to be like your mentor or your teacher, or writing a biography or a collection of biographies of people that you admire, or something like that, like bringing life stories to the front so that they may have their moment in the sun, their moment of spotlight. So let's see what's here in this card before I let you go for your final message. So looking at the imagery on here, and this card is transformation. So again, it is time to go inwards, to be able to bring what needs to be illuminated, what needs to be brought forward. You know, not all of it has to come forward. We don't have to overshare. But it's like what is being called to the surface right now. So it says, go inwards and be present with wherever you are at in your process. That sentence is totally, if you got nothing else from this reading, that is your dharma right now, is to be present with wherever you are at in your process. Feel whatever you need to feel. It may be hard to be present with some parts of yourself. Bring them into a cocoon of gentle self-love and reflection. Insight will come, shadows can be released, and your heart space, and I also want to put a little star there, shadows can be integrated as well, and your heart space will soften. Cry or be angry if this is what you are holding on to, and laugh at the ironic divine perfection of it all. Journey beyond your constructed outer self, where you can delve into the beautiful abyss of your being. Revel in the twilight before the dawn, and let your wings unfurl. Yes, where you have felt like you're being hunted, being persecuted, like your energy needs to stay elusive, or you need to protect certain parts of yourself, it is time to begin to make these choices and understand that the consequences of being vulnerable may be that you will get hurt, but there's also so much connection that with this bee spirit coming forward too. There's so much connection in this transformation, in being able to find that freedom, and being able to loop through these different hurts and these pains and come out expressing oneself and being able to be fully seen, no more hiding. It's definitely time to allow these emotions that maybe have been hiding within the body, that have been held within your past, to come forward so that you can leap forward anew, that you can use these feelings to be of service to others and to not feel so alone in your experience, knowing that you are provided for, that you are not alone, and that your experience has meaning and value. So I love you so very much. Group 5, thank you so very much for being here, for doing this work on behalf of the collective, as well as yourself. I want to thank your guides, every other force or being in the universe that has brought us together for this reading today. If you are interested in my other work, that will be linked down in the description box below. If you'd like to leave me a comment telling me how this resonated, I'd love to hear your perspective. Otherwise, I will see you in another reading, my friend. Bye.